What's up, guys? So many of you have requested that I cover the topic of how to end therapy sessions on time, but I'm not gonna lie, it's something that I personally am not the best at. So what I did for today's video is I put a poll out on Instagram and invited you all to give your feedback about how to end therapy sessions on time. I've compiled all of your answers into today's video and I'm looking forward to sharing them here. Ooh, heartburn. Chugga, heartburn. Welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang, psychologist in private practice. I post videos offering tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so that you don't have to. As I mentioned, ending sessions on time is not one of my personal strengths. Somehow my 50-minute sessions find themselves stretching into 60 minutes. So I need this video just as much as some of you might. Now, before we dive into all of your awesome tips, I want to go over some of the main reasons why therapy sessions tend to go overtime. Number one, the client pushes the boundary. So this is when the therapist tries their darndest to end the session on time, but the client refuses to stop talking, keeps asking questions, or just plain doesn't get up to walk out the door. Number two, the therapist can't hold the boundary. So this is when the therapist doesn't feel confident or comfortable enough to interrupt the process in order to end the session on time. So maybe the client might be in the middle of crying or might have just landed on that amazing aha moment, and the therapist doesn't want to interrupt the process, so the therapy session goes overtime. And number three, the therapist intentionally stretches the time for key therapeutic purposes. So it's important to note there are some occasions where it does make sense to go overtime. A key example of this is if the client is in some type of danger and the therapist needs to sit with the client for some time, even if it's overtime, in order to make sure safety arrives, whether it's a loved one or somebody coming to help the client. I think it's a really great idea to reflect on which of these three you tend towards more often if you have trouble ending sessions on time. I know for me, since my clients are highly boundaried, usually the issue is that I'm having trouble ending the session on time. It has nothing to do with my client. Keeping all that in mind, here are some of the wonderful tips you all offered in order to make sure you end sessions on time. Number one, have a visible clock. Many clients will be able to monitor their own time, assuming that they're able to see what time it is. And other clients would be helped by having the clock in tandem with some of these other tips. Number two, offer a verbal warning. So 5 to 10 minutes before a session's over, let the client know that there's 5 to 10 minutes left. Such a blatant strategy is particularly helpful for clients who need help learning to understand and set boundaries. Number three, shift direction. So instead of giving the blatant verbal warning 5 to 10 minutes before the session's about to end, shift the direction of therapy into a recap mode. So maybe you go over the key takeaways, review everything you went over, rather than diving deeper into questions and whatever content has come up. Number four, pull out your schedule. This is a tried and true strategy that I think most therapists use. When it's time to end the session, simply pull out your planner and start flipping to schedule the next session. Most clients will clue in even without you saying anything, or if they need a little extra nudge, you can always say something like, well, shall we take a look at the schedule to plan our next appointment? Hopefully they get the cue by then. Number five, use nonverbal cues. So there's lots of things that live in this category, whether it be closing your notepad, scooching to the edge of your seat, or flat out standing up and walking to the door to open it up. There's many different cues that you can use that often let clients know that it's time to end the session. Of course, you can use this strategy alone or in tandem with other verbal cues. Number six, validate and redirect doorknob comments. I think we've all experienced this before where right at the last minute, maybe even after your clients walked out the door, they drop a huge bomb on you. And it's really important not to get sucked in when this happens. So when it happens, make sure to validate that, say thank you for sharing, and also let them know that you can come back to that in the next appointment. Number seven, consider whether you're reachable between sessions. So this is something I personally offer to my clients, that if they want to touch base for a 15-minute phone call in between sessions, I'm available to do so. And this helps end sessions on time because if things still feel a little bit unraveled by the time we're ending our session, I just remind clients that, hey, if you're still feeling like this in a few hours or in a couple of days, you're more than welcome to reach out to me and we can have a quick phone call together. I'll be honest, most of the time my clients don't end up reaching out to me, but it helps them feel enough relief in the moment that it kind of brings some groundedness and closure so that we can end our session. Well, that is the roundup of all the tips that I heard from you all. Keep in mind that different strategies work better for different clients and different therapeutic orientations. So for example, if I do have a client who happens to have rather poor boundaries and pushes against my boundaries quite a bit, I tend to have a much firmer approach. So tailor these tips to what fits best for you in your practice. Well, I hope you found these tips helpful in order to end sessions on time. And thank you to all of you who answered my question on Instagram in order to make this video happen. I'm curious, leave a comment below if you'd add any tips to the ones you've heard here so that other people can glean from your knowledge as well. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well. Today's video is brought to you by TherapyNotes.com. TherapyNotes helps with scheduling, notes, and billing so that you can spend more time with your clients and less time on back office paperwork. Click the link in the description of this video to get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment. Baby girl. The heartburn is real, guys. I should have brought a Tums.